Hello? Who is this?
Oh, finally. Hello, I'm Jhanelle. By the way, did you already finish our report for HR planning tomorrow? We needed to finish it now, as in now. Hurry! Our manager is getting really mad.
Hala, sorry, I forgot na we already discussed HR planning. What is it again?
Good day. We are the Port Group and we will be discussing about Chapter 4 entitled as Strategic Human Resources Building What Matters. Human Resources Planning and Strategic Planning. Human Resources Planning focus on careful examining the qualities and abilities of the employment to determine if its skills are suitable for the company. Human resources planning scopes are recruitment, training, succession, planning, retention, work pace, forecasting on the contrary strategic planning purpose is to determine or strategize a long-term direction of the company. It's plan how the company will achieve its vision, mission, and goals. It's focusing operation, marketing, HR, technology, etc. This is my explanation. Human Resources Management (HRM). Its skills helps manager with the varied demands of HR or have a position in a place as well as human resources planning to assist manager, place personnel, and help the firm achieve its goals. HRM is planning of requirements so that needs are adequately addressed. The HR project, the manager, a business does the planning that will being discussed. It is also one of the those that attends to the employees in order keep the business operating properly. As without HR's assistance, the employee will struggle and the company plan might fail. This is the example of corporate strategic plan. Know the purpose of your existence. Specify the long-term goals. Define your values and principles. Opportunity and threats. Environmental scanning, industry, competitor analysis, strength and weakness, forecast demand and employees, resources, people, process, systems, competitive strategy, action plan, strategy alignment, design, structure, and system. Allocate resource, leadership and communication, change, assessment of goals, provide feedback. This is the example of human resources planning. Formulate management philosophy. Create a healthy company culture. Outline a code of conduct. Demographic trends. Outside supply of labor. Competitor benchmarking. Personality and competency. Predict HR demand. Predict HR availability and sustainability. Effectiveness and efficiency, productivity improvement programs, external field alignment, internal fit, analyze the demand and supply gap, determination and separation enhancement program, measure the effectiveness of initiatives, keep track of activities, and that's all. Thank you.
Next, the process of human resource planning. Human resource planning is where the company finds skilled employees that will help them to achieve their goals for the future workforce. So here are the step-by-step process of human resource planning. First, objective of human resource planning. So it's really important to understand the mission, goals, objective, and strategic requirements for the future long-term success of the organization. The organization should clearly know its goals to choose the right number of people for the right jobs. Second step, current manpower current manpower inventory. So this is the list of information about the employees who are currently working in an organization. It includes their names, skills, experience, and other relevant information about them. Third step, forecasting demand and supply. This is a prediction of the demand and supply of manpower. The demand is where the company conduct the skill inventory every year to know if they need more or fewer employees in that existing position. And supply is the source of human resources. The source can come from academic institution and people from other organizations who are seeking employment. Fourth step, fourth step is manpower gaps. So this is the number of employees that organization currently has and how many they need more. Sometimes organization has many employees but they lack skill in the existing position. So the organization will make a strategic plan such as hiring or recruiting that is more aligned with the position so that the organization runs smoothly. Fifth step is the employee plan. So the company should estimate the possible increase or decrease in their human resources. The increase may come from new hires, contingent workers who are temporary but not officially employees, and transferred uh, transferred or restricted employees, while decreases may come from resignation, retirement, death, and other factors. So the sixth step is training and development. The training is for both new and current or existing employees who need to update their skills. This program ensures that everyone, new and the existing employees, learn the skills required for their jobs. And the last or final stage in the overall human resource planning is the appraisal of manpower planning. So this evaluation helps the organization identify gaps or mismatches between projected needs and actual workforce availability. If there are shortage or skill imbalance, companies can take quick action to fix the problem. This help this help make sure the workforce fits the company's goals. By doing this, the company can see if the plan was successful, learn from mistake, and make better plan in the future. That's the step-by-step process of human resource planning.
Good day, everyone. My name is Jhanelle Daquigan, and for today's uh, topic that I will be discussed is about the factors that affects the human resource planning. So, in human resource planning, of course, we have also factors why these characteristics affect the human resource planning. So, first we have the company's goals, objectives, and strategies. So, uh, human resource planning is always connected or uh, aligned with the company's overall goals. So, for example, if a business wants to expand, just like launching new products or enter new markets, of course, it will need more employees, staffs, and managers. So, therefore, the HR must plan recruitment, training, and development. The second factor that we have is time spent for planning HR needs. So, uh, meaning this meaning of this is The success of HR is based or relies on time sorry time allocated to this task. So just like in our normal lives, so rushing things can lead to chaos or misunderstanding. So therefore, in business and in companies, it also possible. So mm, so rush planning can lead to shortages and excess of manpower. But thorough planning ensures smooth operations. So what do we call this? Attain the successful and effective HR plan. So for the third one, we have the uncertainties of business activities. So you all need to know that, of course, in business environments, it is natural to have a unpredictable scenario. So for example, economic crisis, new competitors, changes in technology, of course, especially now on our generation nowadays, and pandemics that might happen, just like COVID-19 that happened way back 2020. So this unpredictable moments, this can really affect the HR requirements. So that's why HR planning must be always flexible and and also to be enough to be able to adapt on this kind of situation, most especially to the worst case scenario that might happen. So HR must ensure always that they can adapt in various changes in environments. The number 4, which is exactness of forecasting manpower needs. So what do we mean by this? So aiming for accurate forecasting is very crucial. Why? Because example, overestimation. Of course, overestimation will lead to excessive staffing and increase in labor cost, while on the other side, underestimation, it will lead to workload stress or inefficiency of the company or the business. So therefore, the human resource uses figures or solutions like turnover rates of the employees, retirement of employees, and market trends also. Of course, in order to attain the accurate forecasting that the business needs. For number 5, we have the structural design of the company. So we have A2, structural design of the company, which is the hierarchical and the flat. So what do we mean by hierarchical? Hierarchical company, it is a tall structures, big companies, and while the flat structure is a small company or business that has a fewer employees and managers. So what is the importance of this regarding to our topic? Why? Because the way a company is structured, whether it is a high level hierarchical company or flat, it always and it still affects the HR planning. So meaning even if it's a highly hierarchical company, Of course, a hierarchical company will need more um, um, managers and supervisor, while a flat structure requires more uh, employees work work independently and but also have a pretty skills. So that's the importance of structural designs of the company in HR planning. So number 6 factor, internal and external availability of manpower. So what do we need? What do we mean by internal and external manpower? So we have um, internal. So the meaning of internal, employees. It's the employees that can be trained and promoted. While external, it is a uh, labor market supplier. So what do we mean by that? So um, a technology company, such as a technology company, um, they are planning to launch or introduce artificial intelligence app that can help students or people, just like ChatGPT, for example. So, a technology company planning to introduce artificial intelligence. So, HR will first check if there's a staff, or um, they will check if there's an existing IT staff or IT staff, human that they can um, hire or trained or hired or trained. So of course they will check if there's an existing IT staff that they can hire or to be trained. And if that's option is not applicable, of course the HR will have a another option, which is the external, which is HR will find or recruit AI specialists from the job market, which is what we call the external, which is labor market supply. So what is the importance of this? Of course, HR must always comes up with a lot of plan. That's why it is very important. So HR must consider both internal and external manpower sources, because if internal is not applicable or available or lacking, HR may choose the other option, which is the external, or they will recruit um, externally. Yeah. For the number 7, preparation period of positioning talent. So um, HR planning must allow sufficient lead of time to prepare and position the talents effectively. So some position in companies, job positions take longer to fill. Why? Because of the um, skill requirements, training needs, and recruitment process. So, for example, a company hiring a CEO or um, supervisor, so those positions they will take 6 to 12 months of process. While on the other side, hiring a customer service or like a fast food service crew agent may only take a few weeks, which is hiring CEO will take longer than the other position that is lower than um, higher positions. So, why is it important to understand these factors, the 7 factors that I discussed? Because the 7 that I mentioned are very essential requirements for planning, HR planning, because it implements effectiveness, and of course otherwise if this is not implemented, plans will become meaningless and useless. Now we will be discussing about the forecasting as a key component to a successful human resource planning. So my report we will just discuss about the importance. You will learn about the importance of why forecasting is a key component to a successful human resource planning. Because in our book in HRM, the statement there contains a lot of text and paragraph. So in my report, I will discuss you just summarization and explanation that that you will understand why is this important to to learn why forecasting is a key component. So first, forecasting predict future manpower requirements. So it helps the company prepare for the right number of employees. So knowing forecasting, it prevents excess of insufficiency of employees. Why? Because it avoids overstaffing, labor costs, and of course, we also avoid the understaffing problems. Another one is it enhances productivity and long-term success because it identifies what needs to be improved more in managing people. Then it also done regularly as a strategic plan. Why? Because it keeps the company ready for changes and challenges that might the company encounter in the near future. So forecasting focus on needs, skills, and goals in order to attain a successful future of the company. So these 3 aligns workforce with the company's directions. And we also have 3 considerations, which is the demand, supply, and equilibrium. So these three considerations balances together. So since they are balanced, so these 3 balances the right number of employees with the right skills. We have the 3 consideration, which is the demand, supplies, and equilibrium. So these three considerations balances the right number of employees with the effective and right skills. So another one, forecasting assist managers in addressing HR needs. So meaning it helps managers make better staffing decisions when we assist manager to address the HR needs. So the last one, increase organizational success and profitability. So by implementing forecasting, it leads to higher performance, and so we have the increased organizational. So last one, increase organizational success and profitability. So the organizational success or the success of company, and also its profitability increases. Why? Because it leads to higher performance and the growth of the company and the business. So that's all for my report. Thank you so much.
Okay. There are two types of approach to predict a firm demand for employees. The first approach is the quantitative approach. Quantitative approach uses numerical data to predict the HR needs or to point out the exact amount of employees that needed in the company or an organization. Quantitative approach uses to minimize the biases or to remove the biases in the findings. Using mathematical analysis. There are three types of analysis under quantitative approach: the trend analysis, ratio analysis, regression analysis. The first analysis is the trend analysis. Trend analysis is the raw material gathered by the HR professional. It is referring to the patterns and direction that can be observed through numbers and data analysis. Under trend analysis, there are 5 components: the workforce, supply, demand, gap, and solution. For workforce aims to determine the demand of the company. For example, if the company grew every year, they need to add or hire new workers to match the supply. It also calculates the availability of the workers. If after 10 years, it measures how many workers will file resignation, or if they need to look for its replacement. Turnover is one of their aim to understand. It's an analysis of data to quantify how many employees are likely to leave. It is also used to determine the productivity trends. It is an analysis that analyzing employment output compared to the business result. For example, if one employee can produce 10 products and they targeted or they have goal to have a 100 products, they need 10 more to meet the expectation, or they will need to hire more workers to meet their goal. Supply analysis is how many employees are available to meet the needs of demands in the company or an organization. There are two types of supply. The first is internal supply. It is the current available in the company or available worker in the company or an organization. And external supply, it's a worker that possible to hire because of the shortage in employees. Demand is to determine how many or what kind of employees are needed to meet the goals of the company or an organization. Learning the patterns based from the company growth and measuring the supplies, determining how many employees are needed to produce a specific amount of product. Gap provides insights into the shortage of supply and demand. If they need change, it analyzes the demand if it's suitable or compatible with the supply. It's used to check if a company or an organization have a shortcoming or a surplus. And lastly is the solution. After determining the findings, HR will provide a solid solution of the gaps. It can be employee needed more training or they need to hire more employee. Solution provide answers in the gaps or what they need to do after finding out the gaps in the supply and demand. The next analysis is ratio analysis. Ratio analysis uses to find out the growth of the company, kung tumaas ba or bumaba ang supply and demand. And it will compare to the other competitors to determine the shortcomings of the company. In regression uses to analyze the relationship of the dependent variable and independent variable. It's used to come up with a better solution. The next approach is the qualitative approach. Qualitative approach aren't based on numerical data. It is based from judgments, insights, and opinions of the experts. It is usually conducted through interviews and surveys. It is used to understand the skills, competencies, and potentials of the workers. If they are suitable for what the company needed in the workplace. Using qualitative is good for suddenly changes or sudden variables because qualitative approach is a flexible type of approach. To minimize the biases of prediction in qualitative, they use Delphi techniques. Delphi technique is a collective data gathered through consulting the opinions and judgment of the experts. And that's all for my report. The next is the predicting the supply of employees. Thank you.
Now that you've gone through the quantitative and qualitative approach of predicting a firm's demand for employees, let us now move on to predicting the supply of employees. But first, what is supply forecasting? If the demand projection has been made, the company gets a better picture of the number and type of positions it will need to execute the work at a specific time. Decisions will then be finalized on which positions will be filled at a certain future time. This process is known as supply forecasting. And by demand projection or demand forecasting, it is the process of predicting what customers' appetite will be for existing products or services, determining what adjustments you should make and what new offerings will spark interest. It is also the process of predicting future customer demand for a product or service by analyzing historical data, current trends, and other relevant factors. For predicting supply for employees, first, the organization forms a cluster showing the line of positions from which employees can anticipate growth. The cluster may include job title, function, and degree of autonomy. For example, the marketing group may include job titles such as marketing manager, advertising head, and sales and promo officer. In addition, The information technology or IT group may be clustered as creative and animation officer, software and network engineer, and web analytics engineer. Second, within each work group, state which of the incumbents will stay in the current positions and how many are listed for possible transfer, promotion, and retirement. Above all, the organization should also pay attention to possible mergers, buyouts, and acquisitions. Moving on, outcomes of the HR planning process. An effective human resource planning process ensures your organization has the right talent to meet its current needs and is essential for building a future-ready workforce. Yet, only 33% of HR leaders believe their organizations successfully utilize data in workforce planning, a key aspect of the HRP process. Lastly, dealing with workforce oversupply and undersupply, but first, workforce oversupply. To address workforce oversupply, companies can use several strategies, including workforce planning, reallocation, cross-training, alternative work arrangements like job sharing or part-time roles, leaving positions unfilled by enacting a hiring freeze, offering early retirement, or as a last resort, layoffs or terminations. Now, dealing with workforce undersupply. To address workforce undersupply, companies should prioritize employee retention through competitive compensation, benefits, and improved work-life balance, while also expanding and diversifying recruitment efforts and leveraging technology like automation and AI to streamline tasks. Now that is all for Chapter 4. Thank you for listening.
Visha, where's our HR planning? Do you even know what is HR planning is?
Yes, sir, I know what it is, and I'm going to tell you the summarization of it. First, Human Resource Planning, or HRP, is an HRM practice that helps managers anticipate the varying HR needs of a company in terms of acquiring, positioning, and utilizing employees. The aim of HRP is to aid managers in placing the employees where they are most fit or, qualifications wise, for the company to achieve its strategic goals. Number 2. Strategic planning is an organization's process of formulating and implementing its strategies and assessing the effects to its internal and external environment. Companies do not take off by themselves. Practically, every strategic planning decision has to take into consideration the people issues associated with it. Obviously, then, strategic planning and human resource planning go hand in hand. Number 3. Certain factors could affect human resource planning, such as the company's goals, objectives, and strategies, time spent on human resource planning, uncertainties in the business scenario, preciseness of foreseeing HR needs, and the structural design of the company. And lastly, number 4, there are two methods of predicting the need of labor. One is the quantitative method, which involves the use of numerical information in analyzing data. The other is qualitative method, which predicts HR needs based on the opinions and gut feeling of some of the members of the organization and other external experts who may be familiar with the organization's HR needs. The most used approaches under the quantitative method are trend analysis, ratio analysis, and regression analysis. The Delphi technique is a qualitative method of forecasting. And that would be all for the summarization of Chapter 4. Thank you so much for listening.